Okay, Dalal Street trades in a narrow band amid weak global cues. Nifty and sensex and 0.25% lower. Nifty fails to hold 25,000. Broader markets fare better. Mid-caps in the green.
Supreme Court rejects Vodafone Idea and Airtel's plea seeking waiver on interest and penalty on adjusted gross revenue dues. Calls the petitions misconceived. This pretty much closes doors to any further legal recourse for the telecom companies. The Supreme Court decision comes as a huge setback for Vodafone Idea. The stock nosedives 8%.
Divi's Laboratories rally 6%, springs a positive surprise with operating profit margins at a multi-quarter high. Strong inquiries inquiries for the business also promises double-digit growth in FY26.
Hello and welcome to Markets Forward, your go-to show where we aim to get you all of the key highlights of the day gone by and, of course, the key data points that you need to gear up for the next session. I'm Bandyopadhyay and with me on the show is Vinny Motiwala. Vinny, quite an interesting day for the market. Very quiet, sort of subdued start to the week. But then, hey, we've rallied a lot already.
Absolutely, we've rallied a lot already. An interesting day, and Mondays maybe everyone's keeping it chill. I think the market was also keeping it chill, but thanks for that, so to me. And yes, we've got you covered for the next 20 minutes with all the big news and the key developments on Dalal Street, top corporate voices and events to track as well in today's trading session. So that's what we're going to be watching out for as well. So should be but an interesting day coming in.
That's true. And actually, it's probably not too bad considering the global backdrop. And the global backdrop today was one of caution. So you can see the Nifty. Disappointing, yes, if you're a bull, because it was a gentle slide down. We didn't have too much of the buy the dip play out today favorably for the bulls. But look at global markets. All of Asian markets were down. US markets, futures that is, were trading down between 1% to as much as almost 2% on the NASDAQ. Now, why is that? This whole downgrade that we've seen by Moody's, that definitely is playing through the system. It's nothing new. But it had an impact on the bond prices. The yields on the US 10-year, they were rising quite rapidly by the time we were trading around the afternoon time. The US 10-year yield touched 4.5%, in fact, 4.54 to be precise, as we were shutting shop for trade. And the 30-year yield was soaring 10 basis points as well, as the market sort of digested this news of the debt downgrade coming in. So that was caution. We had some not so enthusing data come out of China as well today. The retail sales number and the industrial output growth in China, both they have decelerated month on month. If you look at the April numbers compared to where the growth numbers were in March, there is a deceleration. And on retail sales, there was a very clear miss. Industrial output at about 6.1%, also lower than 7.7% in the previous month. So generally subdued. By the way, very interesting moves on the currency side when it comes to the British pound versus the dollar. That's because the EU and the UK are looking to, quote-unquote, reset their trade and economic relationship. And that was seen favorably by the currency market. So the pound was a mover on the upside. So given that it was a day of consolidation across global markets, we had a subdued session today for a change. Actually, even mid-caps, they didn't have the kind of flair that we saw last week.
Absolutely. Not the kind of flair that we saw last week. Absolutely right on that terms as well. And obviously, looking at the Nifty, that ended at almost near the day's lowest point. A mid and small cap ended in the green. But like you're saying, missing that flair from last week, nonetheless outperforming the benchmark indices as of now. Advance decline ratio today was, yes, in the favor of advances versus declines, and that's why the mid and small cap still ended on that positive front. Let's talk about some of these sectors that are doing well. Realty, that is managing to hold on to very, very strong gains at the end of the day as well. Nifty Realty was up almost 2% in today's trading session. Apart from that, PSU banks, that was managing to hold on to good gains. Like Nifty Bank overall, yes, not much of a gain, but PSU Bank side, if you look at that, that was doing well and managing to hold on to gains of more than 1.4%. IT was a drag in today's trading session, so big names like Infosys, TCS, that didn't do well. And railways, the trend is continuing even today, Sudip. We're seeing defense, yes, some bit of that fall has come in from last week's highs, but nonetheless, we're keeping an eye on that. But here's an exciting lineup for you all, what we have in store for you all today. So we'll start with the top movers and shakers for the day with Vivek. And, well, the stock of the day, which we'll talk about, are going to be Zentek, Paras Labs, as well as Divi's Labs. We'll join to, give you the key reasons as well, which is in focus. And last but not the least, we'll tell you which are the key market events to watch out for in tomorrow's trading session as well.
Okay, so then let's kick it off then with the movers and shakers of the day. Vivek, over to you.
Well, thank you so much for that. Another session where you actually saw advances outpacing the declines, but towards the end of the trading session, you actually saw the convergence coming in, given the fact that you actually saw quite a bit of selling pressure emerge in the last hour of the trading session. But let's have a look at, what are stocks that made the moves today in the list of gainers. Bajaj Auto, this particular name, you can't really miss this particular name, given the fact that, number one, timely access to credit facility, along with that Vahan data being quite encouraging. Bajaj Auto, one of the top gainers in the session today, ended the day higher by over 4.5%. The other set of stocks that did quite well were the electrode names, the names like Graphite as well as HEG. These stocks did very well. This on the back of a global update where global major Resonac, based out of Japan, actually halted graphite electrodes production both in China as well as Malaysia. Remember, it's a significant player in the market, and both of these stocks rallied quite significantly. The other stock on the back of very strong operational update as far as Q4 is concerned was Delivery, one of the top gainers as far as the F&O space is concerned, given the fact that there was a significant increase as far as the profitability metrics were concerned. One stock from the capital goods space, it was a day of weakness, but Siemens managed to hold out in the green. News reports are indicating that the company has emerged as the lowest bidder in a JV partnership, and this for a system contract for a Mumbai-Ahmedabad bullet train project. And lastly, one stock from the broader end of the markets, which was KRBL, did very well in the session. The management joined us earlier today. They spoke of much better export opportunities as far as FY26 is concerned. And the street clearly liked the commentary, almost 8% higher. But a whole host of laggards as well. You cannot look beyond Protean e-gov, given this particular stock was pushed at the lower circle. The management held a conference call for analysts during the course of the day today. But the fact that the company did not get shortlisted for the PAN 2.0 project by the Income Tax Department is something that the street did not like and is seen as a derating event. IT stocks, the entire spectrum, saw quite a bit of profit booking throughout the session. Names like Infosys, TCS, even broader end of the names, names like Coforge, Emphasis, these were stocks that did see selling pressure from the IT pack. When you're talking about the defense theme, select defense stocks today, they saw a bit of profit booking emerge. HAL after the results, you saw the shipyard stocks, so names like Cochin Shipyard, Maersk Dog, Bharat Dynamics, all of them did see some selling pressure emerge. After that, one stock from the NBFC pack, LIC Housing, saw two downgrades coming in from brokerages, both Jefferies as well as Motilal Oswal, not liking the commentary. This stock ended low by over 3%. And the FMCG pack continued to see moderation, and this amongst this particular pack, you did see quite a bit of selling pressure come across names like Patanjali as well as Tata Consumer. So the FMCG pack not in the pink of health. Overall, a good session as far as the broader end of the markets are concerned, but still you did see quite a few laggards as well.
Absolutely, Vivek. Thank you so much for rounding up the top stock movers and what happened in the market today. But let's go across to our guests for today. We have Thakkar of ICICI Securities as well as Sudip Bandyopadhyay, Group Chairman at Inditrade Capital, with us to talk to us more on the markets and individual stocks going forward as well. Jay, I just want to talk in terms of levels that we're keeping an eye out on, right? Today, Nifty is not closed above the 25,000 mark. How important is that level? And now what are we watching out for? Maybe some bit of a side move is what one could keep an eye out on right now.
Hi, good afternoon to you, Vinny. I would say that, overall in the short term, as you rightly said, that yes, 25,000 levels now is acting as a short-term hurdle, Vinny, and, until we don't get a close about those levels, there can be some consolidation. See, mainly what has happened is we saw a good recovery in the markets earlier backed by the, banking pack, mainly because that has the highest weightage, and thereafter the second highest weightage which we have is in the IT. Most of the sectors have performed quite well, maybe, IT or maybe pharma or metals or maybe auto even now. So sectorally, most of the sectors have participated and helped Nifty to inch to the levels of 25,000, 25,100 levels. But from here on, I think that there can be some consolidation unless we don't have a meaningful close above 25,000, 25,100 levels. But I don't even see much of selling. Rather, I would say that at the lower levels you would be seeing that good buying interest coming in the range of 24,500 if at all Nifty falls until those levels. Interestingly, from here on, Vinny, I think that Bank Nifty, which had gone sideways or maybe which had actually gone into a sideways range, is likely to provide a breakout. I mean, we have seen Nifty PSU Bank Index trading quite positive today, and I think the private sector banks are also likely to start their short-term uptrend. And once it surpasses the levels of say 55,600, the straightaway target on the upside could be 57,000 to 57,500. And that bank Nifty up move can definitely help Nifty to, climb higher at least until 25,500. So not much of consolidation, mainly because of the bank Nifty, which is likely to provide a breakout on the upside, I think.
Okay, yeah, that's an interesting view, Jay. You're saying that banks will go back to providing leadership to this market. Interesting. Let's see what the next couple of days hold. But right now, moving to a big story coming in from Delhi. This is, of course, the latest legal update on Vodafone Idea. The Supreme Court has rejected Vodafone Idea as well as Bharti Airtel's plea seeking waiver of interest and penalties on adjusted gross revenue dues. However, the court has also said in its observations that it will not intervene if the government wants to help these companies. Ashmit is joining in with more details. Ashmit, help us understand what this means. I mean, is it pretty much the end of the road for Vodafone Idea specifically when it comes to getting any help?
Well, the situation is certainly bleak for the telecom players in question and specifically for Vodafone Idea. Bear in mind that the Supreme Court is saying that it's shocked, rejecting this application. What's important to understand is that there have been at least 4 previous judgments which have either confirmed this demand or have rejected demands for relief. Now, what we understand is that it is on the back of that that the Supreme Court observed that this petition is entirely misconceived, rejecting it outright, not allowing for any scope for intervention as far as this particular case is concerned. And what makes it particularly painful for Vodafone Idea is that just before knocking on the doors of the Apex Court, Vodafone Idea had written to the Department of Telecom saying that if the government relief does not come their way, they will not survive the winter, they will not survive beyond FY26, they will be heading into insolvency at the NCLT. Now, what's important is that in response to that letter by Vodafone Idea, the government had said that, look, our hands are tied on account of the Supreme Court judgment, and importantly, that same position was also echoed by the government today before the Supreme Court of the country, that we are in no position to consider this representation by Vodafone Idea seeking a waiver, given that there are previous Supreme Court judgments that our hands are tied. But nonetheless, before pronouncing the final dismissal order, the Supreme Court did give the observation that, look, if the government wants to help, we'll not come in the way. But nonetheless, we don't want to be a party to it. That was an observation that came from the Supreme Court. But importantly, it's not a part of the formal order. It does not carry the same weight as the formal order. So that situation, that status quo, we understand, is likely to continue. No relief coming Vodafone Idea's way. And important to understand that the government on previous occasions, of course, has said that it is in no position to act to give any relief, given as how its hands are tied with the Supreme Court's judgment.
Absolutely, Ashmit. Thank you so much for that. So, yes, Vodafone Idea, other telecom stocks also are going to be in focus. But we had what was in focus, the defense bank. That continues to be the focus. Now, we have Zen Technologies, Data Patterns that reported a good set of numbers in terms of expectations. But HAL, Mazagon, Cochin Shipyard slipped on valuation concerns. Ria is here with the defense stock performance and how valuations are shaping up now. Ria.
Well, yes, we're seeing a sharp pullback across the entire defense pack today after the incredible rally that we saw from the 7th of May. Today, the top losers include HAL, Midhani, Mazagon and Paras Defense. Some pullback is seen in some other names like Data Patterns, Cochin Shipyard, GRSE and Bharat Dynamics as well. Although Premier Explosives and Zen Technologies continue to remain higher in trade today. Now, in terms of valuations, all of these stocks out of the defense pack that we've looked at are now trading above their 3-year average PEs. In terms of the prices, some of these stocks are off 2 to 7% off their 52-week highs, which include Mazagon, BDL, Paras Defense, Astra Micro Products, Solar Industries, and Bharat Electronics as well. Some others are still off around 11 to 33% off their respective 52-week highs, which include Idea Forge, Cochin Shipyard, Zen Technologies, MTAR Tech, and DCX Systems as well. Now, after the earnings call of HAL on Friday, Morgan Stanley today has come out with a note on the company downgrading it to an equal weight rating with a target price of rupees 5,092. They've said that the margin and new order outlooks were strong for the company, but the market may be concerned about muted execution guidance going ahead. Even the FY26 revenue growth guidance of 8 to 10% was a little bit lower than analyst expectations. So that is why we're seeing a little bit of a pullback in these names today.
Okay. All right, Rhea. Thank you very much indeed. It's been a spectacular rally and today was a day of some profit taking. We did catch up with a lot of these companies, spoke to them after their fourth quarter performance on the order books, on the whole replenishment outlook and how the P&L will look. Hear out a lot of the different views that came in from the likes of Hindustan Aeronautics, Zen Tech, Data Patterns and others.
अब हमारे पास करीब 65,000 करोड़ का LCH का ऑर्डर जो हाल ही में आया था, बिगेस्ट ऑर्डर इंडियन डिफेंस हिस्ट्री में है। ये एक बड़ी ऑर्डर है, 156 LCH। दूसरी है जो अभी 83 LCA Mark 1A जो एग्जीक्यूशन में है, और 12 Su-30 जो हम बनाने वाले हैं वो एक ऑर्डर था, और 240 Su-30 इंजन्स। कुल मिला के आज के दिन 1,90,000 तक ऑर्डर बुक है, और ये अगले साल में और ज्यादा होगा।
As the industry, whole of the industry has been discussing with the armed forces, we have also been very much engaged with them, and we do expect, some fast action to happen in this regard. But the quantum and the time is unknown at this point in time. And we currently have an order book position of about 691 crores. But again, we are expecting a few more orders in this and the next quarter. We were saying about 800 crores in the first half of the year, and I think we still stick to that. I think that 800 crores is still very visible to us. We should be getting those orders. But with the new situation, I think the order book position will be substantially higher.
We expect more than about 1,500 crores contracts to happen this year in terms of new orders. So our revenue guidance remains 20-25% on top and bottom line growth. We expect in the first half we should get probably 600 to 800 crores of contracts, and the rest about 1,000 crores of orders we expect during the course of this year. So the contracts have got delayed, but this is likely to happen in the next 5-6 months' time. We may take some 1 or 2 strategic contracts with lower margins, but that is to build a competency in the company and address large markets going ahead.
Sudip, your thoughts coming in on the defense side, right? Valuations are, even after this tiny correction, or you may see some bit of a correction, still very high. What are your thoughts from here on for these companies, even if orders come in, and does it merit entering the defense side?
I think, Vinay, the whole issue is execution. I don't think there'll be any dearth of orders. Look at HAL. I think they have 1,90,000 crore of order already in hand, and they're expecting 1 more lakh crore worth of orders during the current fiscal. So, there is enough and more orders, but the challenge is execution. If you look at same HL's, execution guidance, that is unsatisfactory. And that's the reason why the market is a little worried. The whole issue as far as these, at least the big defense companies are concerned, is the question of execution and execution excellence. It all depends on that. The valuation today which they're getting is, I would say, for lack of better word, stretched. And, probably the performance doesn't justify the kind of valuation they're getting. So I'm a little careful in picking up defense stocks. BEL, defense electronics, is what I like. And if I have to pick one PSU large defense stock, that will be BEL. There were challenges in terms of their orders not being as per the guidance during the last fiscal, and the profit margins also not going up significantly. But I think they're doing a slow and steady job, and I think the opportunity they're staring at is humongous. So I will probably pick BEL, but companies like HAL, companies like some of the shipyard companies, considering the valuation, I'll be a little careful and not advise a buy in them.
Okay, all right, got that point. Sudip, thanks very much for the update there. Divi's Laboratories soared almost 6% today. This after the company sprung a positive surprise in Q4 earnings with its operating profit margins at a multi-quarter high. Ekta is here with more details. Ekta, so tell us what really worked for Divi's this time around.
Well, it was definitely the operational performance for Divi's this time. So revenue was up around 12%. It was in line with estimates. Margins came in at 34.3%, best levels that we've seen since Q2 of FY23. And the profit was up around 23% on a year-on-year basis as well. Now, the company, in terms of the conference call, did give positive guidance. So they did indicate that they would always look at double-digit growth. And so that's probably what they are aiming for in FY26. They are seeing more queries come in due to the Biosecure Act as well as China Plus One opportunity. They are currently not working on generics in the GLP-1 space. Interestingly, they will be working with innovators. Cash on books is around 3,600 crores. That continues to be positive. Now, in terms of FY26 PEs, trading at around 65 times, FY27 around 54 times. Brokerages positive. Jefferies maintains its hold with a target price of 6,200. The hold is on the back of near-term patent challenges and high valuation. Goldman has raised its FY25-28 EPS by up to 5%. They are neutral on the company. Morgan Stanley overweight with a target price of 7,225. They think the oral GLP-1 intermediate opportunity could be $100 to $175 million per year upon commercialization.
Thanks so much for that, Ekta. But let's talk about two-wheeler stocks. They are also in the fast lane and were in the fast lane with a whole host of them soaring on the back of positive management commentary. Sudarshan is joining in with us to give us details on that front. Sudarshan.
So in the last 3 to 4 sessions, all the two-wheeler stocks have seen a move somewhere in the range of 7 to 8%. There are a few reasons to it. So last week we saw two major companies, Eicher Motors and Hero MotoCorp, announcing Q4 earnings, and those earnings were better than expectations. But what has helped these companies see major uptick in the stock prices are the commentary. The commentary from Eicher Motors saying that positive sentiment is returning in urban area, and Hero MotoCorp saying that it will not only see the growth in FY26 but will also outperform the industry, has helped all the two-wheeler stocks see a healthy gain. Also, Vahan registration data, if you check for the month of May, from May 1st to May 18th, it shows that total registrations are up somewhere in the range of 1%. Two segments that have outperformed are two-wheelers and three-wheelers. Two-wheelers as of May 18th have seen registration increase almost 4%, and three-wheelers have seen an increase up to 3%. And apart from these two segments, all the other segments of four-wheelers have seen a decline. Now, apart from this, there is one positive news related to Bajaj Auto, which has helped the stock gain almost 4% today and was top Nifty gainer. And that is related to, over the weekend, basically in November 2024, KTM had filed for insolvency, and after that in February of 2025, creditors had approved restructuring plan, and as per the plan, KTM was supposed to secure loan of 548 million euros, and that was supposed to be done by May 23 of 2025. Now, over the weekend, Bajaj Auto has disclosed that Bajaj Auto International Holdings, that is a wholly owned subsidiary of Bajaj Auto, has managed to secure loan of 566 million euros. Now, analysts believe that after this loan, the company has secured the loan, it will help KTM, which has been struggling over the last 1 to 2 years, now will come back on the growth path, and that was the main reason that Bajaj Auto was higher 4% today.
Okay, Sudarshan, thank you so much for that. But on the flip side, we had Protean e-gov, which was in under pressure today. 20% lower circuit is what it was. Why? Because obviously over the weekend they said that they are not shortlisted for PAN 2.0 by the Income Tax Department. 50% of their revenue comes in from PAN services. The company in their con call highlighted that this will not impact them immediately. There's no impact on their PAN business because their PAN business as of now involves processing as well as distribution. And this new PAN 2.0 was mainly towards a tech side, a tech revamp that Income Tax Department wanted to do. So immediate basis, there is no impact coming in. But what analysts have highlighted that, going forward, FY27, that's when we'll start seeing an impact coming in when PAN 2.0 actually goes live, and when it's launched, that's when we could start seeing an impact coming in for the company in terms of their revenue. I'll come to you, Jay. What's your thought coming in quickly in terms of Protean e-gov? What are you watching out for in terms of levels over there?
No, really, I mean, see, what has happened is, as far as this stock is concerned, it has hit its lifetime low. Technically, I would say that definitely that clearly indicates the weakness in the stock. In fact, the stock was trading within a very narrow range, I would say, of 1450 to say 1250. I mean, that was 200 points range, which has got broke now on the lower side. So if you just superimpose it, or maybe calculate the same on the lower side, then the short-term target should be 1050, 1000 levels. So I think that those would be the levels wherein stock can at least find some support. Now on the upside, till 1250 levels aren't taken off, the overall trend should be down, negative, at least in the levels of 1000.
Okay. All right, Sudip and Jay, thank you very much for joining us with your perspective on all the individual stocks and the market itself. Thanks for joining in. We need to take a very quick break. Back with all the key events to watch tomorrow. Welcome back. Let's quickly take stock of a lot of the corporate commentary that we picked up during the course of the day. First up, Keynes Technology. The company has guided for revenues of around 4,500 crore rupees this year. It expects exports to surge and is anticipating a 50 basis points expansion in margins. That's not all. It says revenue from its outsourced semiconductor or assembly and the test facilities, as well as its printed circuit boards business, is projected to be between 50 to 100 crore rupees for FY26, and it will scale up significantly then in FY27.
Okay, and next up, Vinity Organics, a specialty chemical manufacturer, is currently operating at full capacity and has added 2 new production lines. The first set is to be commissioned in the first quarter of FY26. A significant portion of this year's growth was driven by acrylamide, which was a form of acid, on the back of improved demand from the company. The company expects momentum in volume growth for this segment to continue into FY26. Vinity Organics is also expanding its product portfolio with strong domestic demand for specialty chemicals. It has guided for an annual growth of 15 to 20% over the next 3 years.
All right, before we wrap, let's get you some of the key events to watch out for tomorrow. Upasana is here with the details. Upasana.
Okay, first up, let me start with the global economic cues. Back to US, FOMC member Bostic speaks. He may give some clues in terms of future monetary policy. That is why it's an important data. Europe will be reporting its consumer confidence data for the month of May. China, People's Bank of China monthly decision is scheduled for tomorrow on benchmark loan prime rate. And back home, that is back to India, domestic economic data will be released. That is the infrastructure output for April is scheduled to release tomorrow. Now let us look at the key stocks that will be on focus on the back of corporate action. SBI will be in focus as the board meeting is scheduled to evaluate fundraising of up to $3 billion via offshore bonds. Ugro Capital will also be in focus on the back of fundraising. Now let us look at the key important results that will be on our radar. Hindalco Industries, United Spirits, Dixon Technologies, JK Tyre, NHPC, Torrent Pharma, Whirlpool India, Zydus Life Sciences, all these companies will be reporting their Q4 FY25 numbers tomorrow. And lastly, Borana Weave's IPO opens for subscription tomorrow. So that's also an important thing that we'll be closely watching out for. And Piyush Goyal is in US for key trade talks. So we'll be tracking closely that as well. So all in all, looks like quite an eventful day tomorrow.
Okay, Upasana, thank you so much for that. But with that, we'll wind down this edition of Market Forward on CNBC TV18. Thank you so much for tuning in. Up next, and more news and updates on the other side.